Hello and welcome to episode of the Bubbs on Sports podcast. Today is Friday, September 29th. Hope everyone's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. Hope everybody had a good week. We have reached Friday. It is a Football Friday podcast. We've got a lot to get into today as we get you set for another big weekend in college football and the NFL. It is almost October. We have hit the prime of the NFL and college football season every Saturday and Sunday. We are now in week 4 as things are really in their full swing. Reality starts to set in for a lot of teams. These next couple weeks are huge because some of these teams, these 0-3, 1-2 teams, can't risk dropping to 1-3, 1-4. They try to climb back up to the 500 mark. We see what some of these 2-1 teams, are they legit? Are they real? Are they not real? What are these 2-1 teams? Are these 1-2 teams off to slow starts? Teams like the Bengals, Chargers, do they start to get going? This is the part of the season, October, that really sets things up for obviously the rest of the way, the meaningful December football and all those things. So the last weekend of September football coming up this weekend, with obviously closing out, which will actually, there's not even, technically last night was September, obviously, but Sunday will be October 1st, so technically this week is still technically considered September and October, but October football is really beginning, and this Sunday is the last Sunday of the MLB regular season, which means October baseball is right around the corner as well. That will start up next week. You've got hockey starting up in 2 weeks. You've got basketball starting up in a couple weeks. Shortly thereafter, the NHL season begins. So October, I always say, is the best month of the year. Out of all 12 months, October is the best. You got October baseball, you've got football, you got college football, obviously NFL, you've got basketball, you've got hockey, so much on. So a lot to look forward to here today. We'll get you all set up for the NFL and college football games coming up this weekend, as it is a Football Friday podcast. But we'll start last night as the Lions go into Green Bay, take care of business against the Green Bay Packers. So I did predict the Lions to win, and I'm not purposely saying that. I'm not saying that just because they won. I know I didn't do a podcast yesterday. Primarily, I've been doing the recap shows on Monday and the Football Friday podcasts, obviously on Friday, like today. But I did have the Lions winning last night. I did not think it would be that much of a blowout. I thought it'd be a close game. I think I had the Lions 27-23, which I think I had them. I don't know if I had them covering that spread. I forget what the spread was exactly. It was 2.5. So I did have the Lions covering the 2.5 at a 27-23 victory. I did not expect it to be a blowout. The Packers played like garbage. Jordan Love did not play well. They came out, had that one touchdown to start halftime or start second half, and it looked like, okay, it kind of as a fan or just as a football fan, it made you stick around for a little bit longer. They scored that touchdown, then they forced Detroit to punt, and then it all just blew up right in their face anyways. They take a 2-score loss, 34-20. Lions go back into Green Bay and take care of business. So the Lions are now 3-1 on the season, which is just crazy. And we knew this going in. I thought they would have a really good year, but seeing it play out like this, Dan Campbell's phenomenal. Jared Goff, all those pieces on offense. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, both your running backs. Obviously, Montgomery not doing a whole lot in terms of yards, but put up 3 touchdowns last night. Jahmyr Gibbs has had a lot of burst runs. I think last time he was averaging like 6-point-something yards per carry or something along those lines for a little while there. As Detroit takes care of business and they get the job done against the Packers, a division rival, and move to 3-1 on the year, while the Packers fall to 2-2 on the season. So we get you now set up. I come into this week 32-16 on my game picks. I went 12-4 the past 2 weeks, so 24-6 the last 2 weeks after a 500 week one where I went 8-8. So technically I enter Sunday and Monday. Technically, I enter Sunday with a 33-16 record if you're considering last night, as I have gotten all 4 Thursday night games correct. Next week, it'll be interesting because it's the Bears and the Commanders, 2 teams that aren't very good. So that'll be an interesting game. But either way, let's get you set up here for Sunday. We'll get you set for the Jets-Chiefs as well a little later on. So we start here with the Jaguars and the Falcons. An interesting matchup here. It is the International Series, 9:30 start. Interesting to see this game. You thought probably going into, earlier in this season, obviously a London matchup, 9:30 start. You went into this season and you said, oh, Jaguars-Falcons, week 4, that's a win the Jaguars, should have. That's a win the Jaguars should take care of business with, no doubt. But you walk into this game and you're really starting to like the Falcons and what they've been able to do. They are 2-1 on the season. Jaguars are 1-2. They've dropped 2 straight games. Lost last week against Houston, and obviously lost the week prior against Kansas City, in which Kansas City didn't do a whole lot offensively. The Jaguars do enter this game as 3-point favorites. According to ESPN Analytics Matchup Predictor, they're giving the Jaguars a 52.2% chance to win and the Falcons a 47.4% chance to win. Call me crazy, but I like the Falcons here. I know they're coming off of a loss against the Lions last week. I know they didn't look good. They only scored 6 points. Lions are a really good team. The Jaguars have not looked good. I'm going to go out on a limb. First pick of the day, first pick of Sunday, 9:30 start. I'm going to take the Falcons in London over Jacksonville. Falcons +3, get the job done, 23-20. Falcons in London over Jacksonville. I'm going to take Atlanta with an upset here in game number 1. This, by far, is the game of the week. If the NFL could flex games, Bills-Dolphins should be on Sunday Night Football. That Jets-Chiefs game, I'll tell you right now, and we'll get into it later on. I mean, what could go wrong? But we'll get into it later on. That game, I think, is going to be a disaster. And I hope I'm wrong. I want the Jets to win. I'm going to be there at 8:20, watching the game, getting ready, not at the game. But I'll be in front of the TV at 8:20, all fired up. But I'm fully expecting a blowout from Kansas City, but they can't flex until at least week 5. So this will be the 1 o'clock game. CBS, Buffalo, 2.5-point favorites coming into this one, 2-1. Dolphins coming into this one, 3-0. The winner of this matchup is first place in the division. So a massive, massive divisional matchup for many, many reasons early on in the year here. Dolphins look to continue their undefeated stretch. 51% chance of winning for the Dolphins. According to ESPN Analytics, they're giving the Bills a 48.6% chance of the victory. Buffalo, 2.5-point favorites, over-under 53.5. The Bills, after that week 1 loss against the Jets, have bounced back against the Raiders, crushing them 38-10, and blew out Washington last week 37-3. And this is exactly what you want to see in an NFL game. One of the best defenses in football against Buffalo, and one of the best offenses in football through 3 weeks of the season in Miami. Buffalo's at home. They've found a way to take care of business the last 2 weeks in epic fashion after, not found a way, but they've blown out their last 2 opponents after a brutal week 1 loss to the Jets, where they obviously lost it on the punt return. The only thing us as Jet fans right now have to hang our hat on. As for the Bills, they've turned things around. I'm going to take Buffalo at home. I know the fancy, flashy pick is to take Miami because they're 3-0 and they are the underdogs and they played really well. But the Bills are the favorites. They're at home. It seems like they've gotten things straightened out after that, whatever you want to call it, on Monday night, where Allen turns the ball over 4 times. They've turned it around. I like Buffalo here at home. Give me the Bills. 31-27. Bills. Get the job done. Cover the 2.5. I'll take the over on the over-under of 53.5. Buffalo gets the job done at home. So we go from what I think is the game of the week to probably the opposite of the game of the week. That's the Bears-Broncos. 0-3. Broncos fresh off a 70-20 defeat. And the 0-3 Bears fresh off a 41-10 defeat. These two teams last week got outscored 101-50. That's how bad it was. Or I apologize. 101-30. My math, 20 plus 10, way off there. 101-30. These two teams got outscored last week. And now they go into this matchup. Somebody's got to come away with a victory. Or maybe we get a tie. But somebody has got to win. Outscored last week, 111-30. And now these two teams match up in Chicago at Soldier Field. Denver is 3.5-point favorites. And I'm going to take Denver here. Look, there's not a whole lot I got to say about this game. These two teams are a disaster. These two teams aren't going anywhere. I mean, even if the Bears win this game, they've got the Commanders next week. Again, as I mentioned, that's a rough Thursday night game. Just in terms of both teams, I don't think they'll get the job done. Neither team's going anywhere. Both teams are disaster. I'll take Denver here. Over-under set at 46. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, even with the Denver offense looking so bad defense looking so bad. The Bears offense stinks. Can't even get the defense and offense right in this game. This is going to be brutal. This is a game you don't want to watch. This game should be on Comedy Central, for being honest here. Give me the Broncos, 23-17 Broncos. Bears are just terrible. I think the Bears are worse than Denver, in my opinion. I'll take the Broncos here. Under on the over-under of 46. Broncos get the job done. Cover the 3.5. Next up, we got the Ravens and the Browns. Ravens 2-1. Browns 2-1. AFC North battle in Cleveland. Cleveland is a slight 1.5-point favorite. It'll be interesting to see how Baltimore responds after a really tough loss at home against the Colts last week, while the Browns hosted Tennessee last week and blew them out of the water 27-3. I'm going to take the Ravens here. Even after that tough overtime loss, I think they're going to come out frustrated. I still think they're the better team. When you look at the Browns, they've got it. They obviously destroyed Tennessee last week, but I'm going to take the Ravens here. I think they're more talented. I think they're just a better football team, and they're coming off a really brutal loss, and I think they'll bounce back. I'll take Baltimore or the Ravens. I think I said I'll take the Browns. I'll take the Ravens on the road, plus 1.5. Ravens, low scoring, 2017 Ravens. Get the job done. I'll take the over on the over-under of 30, or under on the over-under of 39, and I think the Ravens will get the job done. For some reason, I wanted to say the Browns, but I'm taking the Ravens, plus 1.5, get the job done. Next up, we got the Steelers and the Texans. This is interesting. You got a Steelers team coming off a really nice win against Vegas on the road, but their offense still, some people have concerns, against a Texans team that beat Jacksonville last week, that not many people saw that coming, and C.J. Stroud has played great. 1-2 on the season, 2-1 on the season for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh enters as 2.5-point road favorites. I went with Pittsburgh last week, although I took the Steelers even though I didn't feel great about the pick. And I'll be honest here, as I sit here right now, I don't feel great about taking the Steelers because it just feels like, the Texans got a little bit of the hot hand. They're coming off a big victory. C.J. Stroud has looked good. It feels like they've got the better quarterback, although you do have questions on how will he, fare against a defense that headlines T.J. Watt. It's interesting. They are at home. I'm going to take the Steelers here. I know, again, a lot of people like the Texans in this game, but I'm going to take the Steelers. Last week, I took them on the road. I'm going to take them again. A little bit more experienced. Steelers on the road. Get the job done. We'll go 24-20 Steelers. Over on the over-under 42.5. Steelers cover the 2.5. Get the job done. All right, next up, we'll speed up here a little bit. Vikings, Panthers, 2-0-3 teams. Must win for both these teams, specifically the Vikings, because they actually went into this season with legitimate playoff aspirations. The Panthers knew this was going to be a little bit of a rebuild year with a rookie quarterback in Bryce Young. Minnesota enters this game as the 4.5-point road favorites, which means the Panthers are the home dogs entering this game at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. 46.5 is the over-under. As much as I would be really intrigued to see the Vikings fall to 0-4, which potentially increases the Jets' chances of getting a Kirk Cousins down the line, I think the Vikings will come out and win this game. If the Vikings don't win this game, they're probably 0-5, because then they've got Kansas City next week. You're probably 0-5. It's a disaster. If you lose this game, at best, you start 1-6 this season, because you probably beat Chicago, but you probably don't beat the Niners. So it could get really bad if the Vikings lose this game. I'll take the Vikings on the road. Kirk Cousins over Carolina. 27-17. I think they'll take care. I think they'll win this game by a decent margin. 27-17. Vikings over the Panthers. Vikings cover the 4.5 and over on the over-under of 46. Next up, we got the Rams and the Colts. Rams 1-2, Colts 2-1. We are still a week away from seeing Cooper Kupp in action. Rams coming off the loss on Monday Night Football against the Browns, while the Colts expect to see Anthony Richardson out there, are coming off a massive, massive, massive victory over the Ravens, as I mentioned earlier on. I'm going to take the Colts here. As much as the Rams are obviously, the line is even at this moment, over under set at 46. I like the Colts in this matchup. They coming off a massive win. I like where they've at. Even in the games that they've lost this season, they've been in every game. I'm going to take the Colts at home. Colts over the Rams. 26-21 Colts. Get to 3-1 on the season. Couple more 1 o'clock games here. We got the Saints and the Buccaneers. Saints 2-1. Buccaneers 2-1. New Orleans is a 3-point favorite in this matchup. I'm going to take the Bucs in this one. Coming off a tough loss. I'm just joking. Taking the Saints in this one. I'm going to take the Saints here. As much as I want to see the Bucs win this game, and as much as I would love to see, Todd Bowles get to 3-1, it'd be interesting to see how that happens. Look, the Bucs kind of came back down to reality last week against the Eagles, in a tough loss, obviously on Monday night, which we all kind of saw coming. I'm going to take the Saints here at home, coming off last week where they took that tough loss against the Packers, were able to come back 1-1, 18-17, back at home. They're the better team, even with the Bucs starting 2-1. The Bucs, I think, showed what they are. I'm going to take the Saints here. I'm going to take the Saints. They're 3-point favorites, over under set at 40. Saints, low scoring, 17-16. Saints don't cover. I think close game, give me the Saints. This time, they'll be on the opposite end of a 1-point margin. Philly enters this one as a massive 9-point favorite. Eagles, Commanders. Give me the Eagles. Commanders did not look good last week. Their first big test against a really good team. I'm going to take the Eagles here. They're 3-0, coming off another big win. Expect them to get the 4-0. Eagles, big time. Commanders lost 37-3 last week. You're looking at something, I'll go 27-10 Commanders. Or 27-10 Eagles. Cover the 9. Get the job done at home over Washington. Couple more games here. Bengals, Titans, final 1 o'clock game. The Bengals coming off of a week where they got the job done despite it being ugly. Titans are coming off of a brutal loss against the Browns on the road. The Bengals hit the road, get to Nashville to face the Titans. Cincinnati is 2.5-point favorites here. I'm going to take the Bengals. You're still waiting from just an NFL perspective for this Bengals team to break out. Like, they found ways to win last week after losing the first 2 weeks of the season, but it was still a very low-scoring, close game where it was anybody's game. You're still waiting because this Bengals offense is too talented to continue to play like this. So, potentially, this is their week. Titans are coming off a week where they allowed 27 points. Is this the week for the Bengals to go out there, put up 24, put up 27, Burrow to throw 2 to 3 touchdowns? Is this their week? I think it is. I'm not saying they're going to go out there and put up 35 points, but I think it's only a matter of time until this Bengals team gets it figured out where they go out there and have a high-scoring week, because they're too good to continue to go out there and put up these weeks where they had 3 points in week 1, 19 points last week. They've got to have a big game coming up. I'm going to take the Bengals in this one, 27-20 Bengals over the Titans, win by a touchdown, cover the 2.5. All right, so your 3 1 o'clock games here. You've got a battle of teams in the AFC West that are 1-2 in Inglewood. Chargers, Raiders. Chargers, 4.5-point favorites. The Raiders enter this game as the road underdogs after a tough loss on Sunday night last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Kenny Pickett. I'm going to take the Chargers in this game. Loved what I saw last week. A massive blow to see Mike Williams go down, not only to the Chargers, but my fantasy team as well, as he's been a really big piece. Third wide receiver this season. Tough blow. Keenan Allen, though, has been on fire. Had a massive week last week, 200-plus yards, had a passing touchdown. They get Eckler back. They're back at home. Chargers all day. Give them the Chargers. Get the 2-2. Get back on track. I know there's been a lot going on, some off-the-field stuff, coaching, all that stuff. I'll take the Chargers, though, at home, 31-23. Chargers over the Raiders. They cover the 4.5. Get the job done at home. Patriots, Cowboys. I think this could be a blowout in a big way. I really do. I think this game could be a blowout for Dallas, and I'll tell you why. They are going to be very frustrated coming off a brutal loss last week. And I think they realize that things could spiral if they don't win this game. And again, I don't want to sit here and act like, oh, they're going to get to, the seasons. This is a must win. But they got to play the Niners after this week. And then the Chargers, who are playing better, who played better last week. The Chargers, again, I know a lot of people, their defense isn't great, and I know the coaching's questioned, but they've got a high-powered offense. They lost to the Cardinals. The Cowboys lost to the Cardinals. It's not crazy to say that they can't go on the road and lose to the Chargers. Back-to-back road games coming up. And then shortly thereafter, you'll have the Eagles on the road. This is a massive game for the Cowboys because you lose this game, you get to 2-2. That's now 2 weeks in a row that you've lost to two teams that probably won't be in the playoffs. Cardinals probably won't, and let's be honest here, the Patriots probably won't either. Don't let last week fool you. The Jets are just that bad. Then you have the Niners and the Chargers, Rams, Eagles. 3 of your next 4 games are against teams that could potentially be in the playoffs. I mean, Rams, you can make that case by the end that it's not, it'll be interesting. Either way. You also get the Rams with Cooper Kupp, which is a different team. So this is a big game for the Cowboys. I think they're going to come out. They're at home. They're the more talented team. I know America's team, everybody last week loved that Dallas lost because, now I didn't because I like Dallas. I shouldn't say I like Dallas, but I don't hate Dallas. Like, I know everybody hates Dallas. I don't really personally, I don't have a hate towards them. I just don't. I'm not a Giants fan where they're a division rival. I'm rooting for Dallas in this game because I hate New England. I am. And New England losing helps the Jets because it just does. Look, at this point as a Jet fan, you're trying to get anything. Either way, Dallas at home, New England's not any good. They're not a good team. If the Jets last week had Trevor Siemian at quarterback, they win that game. Dak Prescott, the Cowboys, they'll bounce back in a big way. Cowboys, 6.5-point favorites. The national media, I know, wants to throw a narrative out there that, Stephen A. Smith this week had a field day. Oh, Patriots might get the upset. Patriots aren't good. It's one loss. It's going to happen. Dallas back home, bounces back, 31-13 Dallas, big time over New England. And finally here we got the Niners and the Cardinals. Niners, 3-0. Looking to get to 4-0 against the Cardinals team fresh off the upset. Niners, 14-point favorites. Now, I'm going to be smart here. Niners, I don't think cover because the Cardinals in every game this season have been close. So I don't think the Niners are going to cover this. I learned the hard way last week saying that the Cowboys would win by a blowout. I was wrong. Niners will win, but I don't think they cover. So Cardinals plus 14, but Niners get the job done at home. 26-17 Niners. Close game. Niners, Brock Purdy over Josh Dobbs, and the Arizona Cardinals at home. I'll take the Niners. All right, so these are your picks. So it's I got the Falcons winning, Bills winning, Broncos winning, Ravens winning, Steelers winning, Vikings winning, Colts winning, Saints winning, Eagles winning, Bengals winning, Chargers winning, Cowboys winning, Niners winning. We'll get you set up for the Giants game later on Monday, rather. We'll get you set up for that on Monday, which will obviously be a Monday night game. And now for the Sunday night prime time matchup. Jets, Chiefs. Jets enter this game 1-2. Chiefs enter this game 2-1. The Chiefs are your 9-point road favorites, which means the Jets roll into MetLife as 9-point home underdogs. Over-under for this game set at 41.5. Matchup predictor, according to ESPN Analytics, is giving the Chiefs a 74.2% chance of winning, while they're giving the Jets a 25.6% chance of winning. 8:20 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Jets, Chiefs. This is going to be interesting. I mean, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? Either way, this game is going to be really tough for the Jets. I'm doing my preview. I'll have that up tomorrow morning. My Jets versus Chiefs preview. I'm getting all the numbers ready. I have my preview article out as well on on lwssports.com. If you're interested in checking that, I appreciate all the support. I honestly, you go into this game as a Jet fan expecting the worst, hoping for the best. That's really all you can do. I mean, you expect, this game has a ghost game written all over. And I don't want to sound negative. I don't want to sound like I have no belief. I mean, look, at the end of the day, any given Sunday, I always go back to this. The Arizona Cardinals last week defeated the Dallas Cowboys. Who saw that coming? Nobody, right? Any given Sunday, if they could force some turnovers, find some lanes, penalties, like if they can find a big play here and there, a game-changing moment. Look, last time Kansas City rolled in the MetLife, nobody saw the Jets winning. And that turned out to be an awesome game. You had the Marcus Peters flag throw in the end zone. Jets ended up winning with Josh McCown at home. Over at the time, it was Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs. So they took care of business. Again, not that matters, but last time they weren't expected to win and they took care of business. So maybe we get the same thing here. Look, one of my keys for this game is let it rip. I think at this point where the Jets are at offensively, and what could be Zach's last game, because I think if he struggles in this game, or if the Jets lose this game, even if Zach's average, I think you see Simeon next week. I think the Jets would have to win this game, and Zach would actually have to play. I think if the Jets lose this game, I think you see Simeon next week, which means I think there's a good chance you see Simeon. Now, unless if Zach goes out there and throws for 350 yards and throws for 4 touchdowns, and the Jets lose a 31-28 shootout, then maybe I will say, oh yeah, Zach's going to be out there against Denver. But if the Jets lose this game, even if it's like 13 to even if it's somehow 17 to 10, and the Chiefs offense just doesn't do much and the Jets defense are able to contain them, barring something unforeseen, I think next week you're probably seeing Simeon at quarterback, which is interesting. It's not great, but it's kind of where we're at. He's better than Zach, it seems. But you got to still buy into Zach. You still got to believe in Zach. I'm rooting for him. We're all rooting for him. I'm going to root for whoever's at quarterback. I'm going to root for the guys on the field. This week, I'm rooting for Zach Wilson. We all want to see him do well. You don't know how happy I would be with all this nonsense going around the outside. You know what I'm talking about with the Kansas City Chiefs and Travis Kelce. All this nonsense on the outside. And all this ticket prices going up for reasons that I'm not even going to get into because it's just, in my opinion, I think it's blown out. I think it's annoying at this point. I'm not even going to mention, you all know what's going on with the Kelce and all that stuff. You don't know how much I would love for the New York Jets to go into this game and beat up on Kansas City and get the 2-2 and turn this thing around. It's not going to be easy. I think you got to let it rip. That's the way I phrase it. You want to use the word, take the training wheels off. You can do that too. And I mean that by, they got to let Zach out there. They got to let him throw. They got to let him take chances. Let Zach take chances. Let him go out there, get the ball deep. The one thing Zach has is his arm strength. Roll him out of the pocket, throw it deep, utilize McCollum, utilize Garrett Wilson, take risks. I think this run, pass on third down, check downs, all this safe stuff play within the offense, forget that. Let him rip it. Let it rip. Let him go out there and just heave it downfield. Take chances. Take risks. The Jets don't have much to lose in this game. They're a 9-point home underdog. Everybody is watching this game to see them get crushed. Take chances. You're going up against a high-powered offense. You're probably going to need to score at least 20 points to win this game. I don't think the Jets hold the Chiefs under 20. I think you're going to need at least 20 to 23 points. You're not going to get that by just grounding and pounding because it hasn't worked. Take chances downfield. Obviously, you got to contain Kelce. Obviously, you've got to find a way to get pressure on Mahomes because he's only been sacked once this year. The Jets have been able to get pressure on quarterbacks, but they haven't been able to bring him down. They've got 1 sack in the last 2 weeks. Quinn Williams, potentially first sack of the season, but they're going up against a really good offensive line. The run defense, I think, has got to be better. Pacheco, McKinnon, 2 good running backs for the Chiefs that they're going to roll out there. 2 guys that are good pass catchers as well. They rushed for 150-plus yards last week. The Jets have allowed over 100 rushing yards the last 2 games, plus 97 in the Monday night against the Bills. So really, you could say the Jets have allowed 100-plus rushing yards in every game this season. They're allowing 129.3 per game. They've got to find a way to stop the run. The Chiefs have so many pieces. There's so many things. I mean, a lot of people have been saying in this game, And look, give Zach time. He's had time last week. He's got to find the open receivers. Running the ball is going to be tough. That's why I think you got to take chances. If you could take chances deep, if I had to give you a roadmap, like an exact roadmap or exact plan for how the Jets can win this game, it's throwing the ball deep. It's connecting on a couple of them. Like if you connect early on a 30-yard pass to Garrett Wilson across the middle or something, or even you just send him on a go route and it's some big 50-yard completion, you connect on one or two of those early on, all of a sudden the Chiefs are going to be forced to say, you know what, we can't stack the box. We're going to have to watch for the pass now. We're going to have to watch out for Zach's arm. Then you can get the run game back going. That's, I think, your roadmap. Your roadmap is not what they've done the last 2 weeks. All this short pass stuff. It's just not going to work. Teams are ready for it. Zach has struggled on the third down and longs. You can't run the ball on first and second down. You just can't do it. You got to take risks, got to take chances. The offensive line last week I thought did well. In pass protection, you'll have Chris Jones this week. They face Micah Parsons, Matt Judon back-to-back weeks. I thought for the most part they did a good job against New England. You know, the sack in the end zone from Matt Judon was obviously tough, but you can also say Zach Wilson should have got the ball out. He had Breece Hall right in front of him, and he just stared at him. But either way, Jets enter this game massive home underdogs. My biggest thing is take risks. I hope I'm wrong. I think it's gonna be ugly. I hope I'm wrong. I want the Jets to win. I hate picking against the Jets, but again, you get unbiased takes on the show. So I think the Chiefs will win this game 27-10. I'll take the under on the over-under 41.5. I think the Chiefs win, cover the 9. Unfortunately, I just think it's going to be a blowout. We really didn't look very competitive against New England last week. Kansas City's 10 times better. They're a Super Bowl contender. New England's not even a playoff team. So, I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. Turnovers on defense, too. You got to find a way to force some turnovers. It would be interesting to see if they line Sauce up on Kelsey, or if it's just going to be, Quincy Williams, who's put together a very good season so far. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out, but got to force some turnovers on defense. Interceptions, fumble. Interceptions will be hard to come by, but fumbles, try and do something. Lay a big hit to try and give this offense good field position. If the Chiefs are on their own 30 and you could, force a fumble, recover it, give the Jets the ball on the Chiefs 25, all of a sudden the field goes from having to go 70 yards downfield to 5 yards and you're in the red zone, or as Hackett calls the gold zone, and at least you come away with a field goal. Try and win the field position battle, field placement battle, or whatever you want to call it. So it'll be interesting, but we'll see how it all plays out. So now for some of the college football games. Obviously tonight you got Oregon State, Utah, which is a good top 25 matchup. USC, Colorado, good game. Looking to see if Colorado can bounce back against the 6th-ranked team in the nation after a brutal loss last week against Oregon. Florida, Kentucky is a really good game. Look out for that. Georgia, Auburn, interesting game, but something to look out for. 3:30 CBS. Kansas, Texas, top 25. Kansas, 24th ranked. Texas, 3rd ranked team in the country. This should be a lot of fun. Ole Miss, LSU. Should be a good game. Duke, Notre Dame. College game day will be there tomorrow. That should be a lot of fun. Tennessee, South Carolina as well. So a couple really good games tomorrow. A couple good top 25 matchups to look out for on Saturday in college football. And the Yankees will head to Kansas City for 3 games, and that will be their 2023 season. So that'll do it for the podcast here today. We'll be back here on Monday discussing all things from the weekend. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a New York Jets victory. Jets, Jets. Prove me wrong. Get the job done. You don't know how great it would be with all this outside nonsense noise on Kansas City to go in there and take down the Chiefs on primetime. That would be awesome. Find a way to pull off the impossible. So that'll do it. See you all back here on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. As always, hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.